Hello everyone, welcome to the Husky Hotseat, the show for students, parents, and staff to get to know the Hubble community. I'm your host, Eric Elftmann. Each week on Husky Hotseat, you and I get to sit down with a member of our Hubble staff to ask them the answers to the tough questions. This week I'm here with Andy Balzer. Mr. Balzer is a 7th grade social studies teacher who has been at Hubble for 22 years. Andy has been in education for 30 years and has also taught U.S. history, geography, and government at high school level. Not only has Mr. Balzer been teaching for 30 years, but this upcoming year he will celebrate his 30th anniversary with his wife Heather, also a middle school teacher in Naperville. Andy and Heather have 2 children, one who's working as a professional chef, and the other currently studying psychology and art at Indiana University. Andy, thank you so much for being here. So obviously you've been teaching a long time. I'm excited to talk to you about that, but really teaching goes back a lot farther in your family. You have a number of educators there. Can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Sure. I pretty much consider education as the family business. It goes all the way back to my grandfather, who during the Depression years, he was having trouble finding jobs, so he went into education and actually for a year was a principal. And on my mother's side, they're all country school teachers. My grandmother was a country school teacher. My great aunt was a school teacher in Champaign-Urbana. My mother taught French and U.S. history. My father taught music here in Wheaton for 30 years. And my wife teaches. My sister-in-law is a school social worker. My aunt is a school nurse. My uncle is a school psychologist. So education pretty much flows through every aspect of my family.
Why do you think so many people in your family ended up in the same profession?
What I find is that my family are people who like to help each other. My daughter wants to go into psychology. My other daughter is a chef and likes to cook for people. We want to help. We like to reach out and help. My sister-in-law does a really good job with struggling students at her school in Plainfield, helping kids. I also have nurses. My mother-in-law is a nurse. So we just seem to be a group of people who likes to go into service industries and help people.
Okay, that's awesome. Was there one of those family members in particular that you think led you into the profession?
That was my parents, no doubt about it. My mother was a stay-at-home mom when I was in school, and we would talk history all the time. All the time. She would tell me stories about history, and I found it fascinating. And she would quiz me, and she had me learn the fun way, all the presidents, so I could recite the presidents in order when I was in 3rd grade. So I was a different historical character for every Halloween in elementary school, and all of our family vacations centered around some sort of historical stop on there, and I just loved it. And following my footsteps of my father and my mom.
Okay, I want to go back for a second to your Halloween costumes. What was the one that no one had any clue who you were? Was there one that was like just obviously, Abe Lincoln, top hat, beard, that's easy. Taft, maybe an easy one to pull off with a couple pillows or something. But what was one that no one knew?
In 5th grade, my mom made all my costumes. In 5th grade, I wanted to be a Roman legionnaire, and she made this costume out of leather, and nobody understood what I was wearing, and it was cold, so I had to wear some sort of skin-colored tights on my legs. So of course, a 5th grader, I was a lot of fun making fun of me with that, but I had the shield and stuff, and back then we were allowed to bring a sword to school, so I looked like a Roman soldier.
Okay, all right, that's great. Have you ever thought about, bringing back the look to Hubble Halloween, some historical, maybe not the Roman soldier?
No, my dressing up days are well past me. I don't mind. I'm not one of those people who think adults should dress up. I like to watch what the kids get dressed up as.
Fair enough. Did you feel any pressure that maybe you had to become a teacher since it was so prevalent in your family? Did you ever explore other options?
Not at all. I didn't declare education as my major until my junior year in college. I started in the sports sciences. I wanted to be a trainer and an athletic trainer. And then I shifted into business, and I took one business class, walked out, went straight to my dorm room and dropped it. And I had wanted nothing to do with the business class. So then history was always my fallbacks, and I wanted to be a history teacher since forever.
Okay, man, that's decisive. For A college student, I mean, myself, I chose music pretty quickly, but you do hear a lot of students who, jump back and forth, but you're like, not business, not going to happen. Here we go, teaching. All right, that's great. Speaking of teaching, over the years, you have taught a variety of subjects within the social studies world. You taught history, government, geography. Was there one of those classes that you had maybe as a student or just a subject that inspired you to head in that direction? Or was it maybe just your parents you mentioned?
No, what inspired me to be a history teacher was the type of teachers that I had. Now, I'm probably the reverse. I had many teachers in high school and college that were not very enthusiastic. I loved history. I loved the topic, so I had fun in class, but it was almost boring for me. So I used to sit there and think in college, if I'm going to be a teacher, I want everybody to enjoy the class, and I use them as an example of what not to do to get the kids more engaged in history.
Yeah, I can see that in your classes, the activities that you do around the school and stuff. The kids really enjoy that. Is there one specific event in history that just inspires you, that your love of history, like something that really brought you to it?
Mr. Miles going to like this. My childhood hero is Abraham Lincoln, and so I did a lot with the Civil War. That was something I was really passionate about when I was younger. But as I teach and learn more, because I always think education, you're a lifelong learner. I'm learning so much all the time. I'm finding interesting things of every time period. So one particular, it's hard to put my hand on one thing. I love teaching everything about it.
What is a piece of advice you might give to students who want to go into teaching social studies or history or something in that realm?
You have to love it. If you're going to work with young people, you have to love it, and you have to be there for them and show them that love, especially at this age, because middle school kids are so awkward. It's such a hard time. And if they come to school and they're not enjoying what they're learning, be that teacher. You don't have to be, it's not like being the easy teacher, but it's being the teacher that shows the kids you care and show the kids that this subject matter is important, and I'm going to show you why. So I would say that.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. All right, one last teaching question. I've been doing this for a long time, no offense. What would you say is different about you as a teacher today versus year one, Mr. Balzer?
I am so much more chill than I used to be.
Okay, can you give us an example?
Yes, I was Mr. Intense. I also coached wrestling my first 8 years, so lots of times I used my coaching voice in class. I was always trying to get the kids to do the work. And when I was first started teaching and kids wouldn't do the work, I used to take it personally, like they don't want to do the work for me. And I used to take a lot of that stuff personally. But as I'm getting older, it's not about me. It's what the kids are about. They have so many factors that lead into what decisions they make. I'm just one part of their life, and I don't take it personal. So I totally chilled out than what I was when I first started teaching when I was in my 20s.
Do you think that is part of you as a person changing, or as a teacher, or like maybe a combination?
Absolutely. I see myself changing. I changed a lot when I became a dad. And then when my kids went into school, and being the parent and seeing kids do homework and what they go through really changed me as a teacher, because I understood what kids went through and parents go through on a daily basis. And so that really helped me understand and be a better teacher with that.
I feel like after helping my kids with their high school math homework, maybe kids don't need high school math anymore. That's just my hill to die on after trying to remember what I learned 25 years ago.
My kids were so good with math. I couldn't help them after 7th grade. I was done. I'm like, no, ask your mother. I cannot help you.
All right, we are going to take a short break, but we'll be right back with Portrait of a Middle Schooler. Hey Huskies, we are back with our guest Andy Balzer, and I hope you're ready for one of our favorite segments, Portrait of a Middle Schooler. Strange fashion choices? Absolutely. Weird hobbies? Probably. Nicknames they thought were dead and forgotten but are about to come back and haunt them? Well, let's see what we come up with. Okay, Andy, I want you to describe your middle school self, maybe what you looked like, what sports or activities you did, your social standing, and of course this would be a great time to drop any embarrassing middle school stories about yourself.
Well, actually, I went to a junior high, and it was only 7th and 8th grade, but it was awkward because the elementary school I went to was very small, and so the junior high was twice the size of anything, so I was a little intimidated. I was shy. I'm a quiet kid. I didn't really stand out. I was just trying to find my way through. So If you want to call me like a little nerdy kid in a junior high, I was probably that kid. I hit my growth spurt. So if you knew me in elementary school, I grew about a foot between 6th and 7th grade. So I looked a lot different. And so I met people who didn't know me from my elementary days who treated me different because I looked different. Embarrassing, yeah, I probably have a lot if I really thought about it.
Okay, here we are.
Elementary school, junior high. I had a Velcro wallet, Ghostbusters Velcro wallet.
Well, that sounds cool, not embarrassing.
I had that. It was great. Another thing, all the kids used to decorate the inside of their lockers with their favorite movie stars and singers. And
no, you're not going to say, okay, I can't wait. Come on.
I had Madonna inside my locker. I love Madonna. She was and everybody used to make fun of me because everybody had AC/DC and other rock bands, and Balzer over there has Madonna in his locker room, the Material Girl. Yes, that was me.
Okay, I think you hit the embarrassing quotient. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so just a bit for this segment, we want to always think about ourselves now versus ourselves in middle school. So if you could give your middle school self one piece of advice besides hide the Madonna materials, what would it be?
I would be more focused on school. I'll be honest, I wasn't the greatest student in the world. I was not very focused. I can tell you from grade 2 through ever, my mom kept all the letters home from my teachers, and she gave them to me, and I went through them. And every year there was always, Andy's not living up to his potential. He can do much more. I was very content with average work. I didn't fail. I didn't bomb anything on purpose. I just did enough to skate by and just do what I want to do just to get done. I would go back and tell that kid, school is much more important than that. You can do better than this. Focus. And maybe I would have gone to a different college. Maybe I would have been a different career. I don't know. That's one thing I would tell my younger self.
As a teacher today, do you find yourself honing in on the young Andy Balzers in your class?
Absolutely. I can identify students in class that have all the potential in the world, but are just not interested in, focusing on the Revolutionary War or the Civil War or the Constitution because they're focused on other things. I get it. And so that's why one of the reasons I try to make the class interesting and engaging so we can pull those kids in. I don't expect the kids to be historians when they leave, but I want them to have more appreciation of their history.
I can recall in 7th grade, an English teacher I had who gave me a C, which I'm not, to be fair, entirely sure I deserved on the assignment, but it was just one of those wake-up grades. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, you are not doing what you should be doing. So it was a big deal, but it still sticks with me. I still remember that. And she lives in the town I live in, and I still sometimes see her like at the coffee shop and stuff, and I want to go up to her, but I haven't yet. Maybe one of these days I will mention the effect that C had on my life. All right, we're going to be right back after this. Welcome back, Pack. We are still hanging with our guest, Andy Balzer. We've heard a lot about teaching, how you got into education, your middle school crush on Madonna, etc. But I'd love to talk a little bit about you personally. At the top of the show, we mentioned that you were coming up on a big milestone in your marriage, 30 years. That is huge. But one little tidbit that I left out, you've actually known your wife since you were 6 years old. Tell us more about that.
Sure. I went to a small school in Downers Grove, and in 2nd grade, Heather moved in, and we were young for our age. So when we used to start school after September 1st, after Labor Day. And so we were young. I was only 6 when I started 2nd grade, and she came in, and I met her for the first time. And we really weren't friends until high school. We kind of ran around the same circle of people, and we didn't really start dating until college. She's absolutely the love of my life, and she means everything to me, and we're so in sync. Her birthday is the day before mine. Our families have known each other forever, so it just seemed to work. I would never, if you asked me in elementary school that I'm going to end up marrying Heather, I'd be like, you're crazy. We have nothing. No. But absolutely, I would never imagine my life was anybody else.
You said you started dating in college. Did you guys go to the same school?
No. We ran with the same circle. No. Heather went to Northwestern, and so she was one of the smartest people in our school. I think she ended up ranked 3rd in our class at Down or South. But we had a lot of friends. So in summers, we had the same circle of friends, and we kind of just connected in the summer of 93. And I went back to Eastern. She went to Northwestern, and we just built it from there.
Well, speaking of your family, I know you love spending time with them. Obviously, you guys play games, watch movies together. And I wanted to talk a little bit about some movies. As a history teacher and a movie fan, what are some of your top historical movies?
Oh, that's great. I love historical movies. I love Glory is my favorite Civil War movie. Absolutely great movie. Saving Private Ryan is a fantastic movie and really gets. When I watched Saving Private Ryan, when I left that movie, I just wanted to find a person who's in their 70s and give them a hug because I was just so moved by everything they did. Schindler's List. I know these are very down topics, but I thought the movies were outstanding. I thought they did a really good job telling the story. So yeah, I appreciate those movies a lot.
Okay, if those are movies that do a good job of telling the story, what are some historical movies that maybe you still like, but they're not so accurate on the history parts?
I try to avoid those movies because they kind of make me mad. But one movie is like The Patriot. The Patriot's a really good movie, but the character that Mel Gibson plays is kind of a creation of multiple different historical characters. So you can't say what he did was accurate because what he did was, but he did it from multiple different people did those or said those things. So it was a nice summary of the Revolutionary War, but I would never call it historically accurate from what he was doing personally.
Okay, I'm going to just touch on that movie for a second because I really like that movie too. I say aim small, miss all the time, even though I've never fired a gun. I just think that that's a cool phrase.
It is.
In the movie, sometimes the British do some pretty despicable things. There's obviously one particular general that is like he's sent to do these things. Was that stuff happening?
Yes, there was a British general that used a lot of very harsh policies on the locals to to find out the people who were doing it. Yeah, that stuff did happen, but there was really a lot of bad stuff in the Revolutionary War. Not enough has been done with the Revolutionary War to really tell people what those people went through. I mean, Civil War has been good, and they've done things with World War II, but the people who fought for our country to be free really went through a lot that people don't know about. So
that might be a good place for some more movies to get into the human drama of the people that were at home, trying to fight against the British, maybe?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great story, and I don't think that people have done enough storytelling to give it justice. There's a lot more stories out there.
I'm going to throw another movie at you here just to see, because, again, I'm coming at this from, I had history, and then I took it maybe one in college, and that's the last time that I thought about it besides just reading. Gladiator. How accurate are we talking here?
I haven't really studied world or European Roman history since I was in college. I've been U.S. history, but I find that movie extremely entertaining.
Fair enough.
What they went through, I couldn't
That's okay. You don't have to be an expert on every single area of history. I think that's unfair. I do have one more movie question for you, though. You kind of talked about the Revolutionary War this way. Is there a different historical event, a period, or a person that you think would make a great movie, but they really haven't touched on it?
Recently, I've really enjoyed Alexander Hamilton. I love the Hamilton musical. I've seen it many times. I think somebody like James Madison, the father of the Constitution, gets overlooked a lot. I think his life is interesting. I think people would learn a lot. Benjamin Franklin gets a lot of press, but not really what he did as his lifestyle. So I think some of those early founding fathers, we know a lot about Washington and Jefferson and John Adams, but I think there's other people who have really interesting stories they could tell.
Yeah, I think Franklin shows up in a lot of other movies as like the comedic character kind of sometimes. And
great.
I mean, which is awesome, but you would like to see like the through line of his life because there is a lot there for sure. All right, we're going to take another quick break, and then we will be back for our last segment, Throw the Dog a Bone. Okay, Pack, before we go, it's time for Throw the Dog a Bone. Each episode, we like to sign off by answering one completely random question. Andy does not know the question I'm about to ask, and I have no idea what he's going to say, so it could get interesting. All right, Andy, here we go. If you had to choose an emoji that best represents you as a person, what would it be? I'll give you a second to think about it. I'm going to throw you mine while you're thinking. The shruggy emoji. The guy shrugging. Just the guy. In fact, before emojis were a thing, I used to type that out you can type it out with the little symbols. Fun fact, my wife, I'm not allowed to text that to her. She does not like when I shrug at questions she asks, so I'm not allowed to say that to my wife anymore. And I've held by that for a number of years now. It's hard. It's very hard because I like to use it. Okay, what do you think, Mr. Balzer?
The emoji I think would be most like myself. I see myself as trying to be as positive person as I can. I try to always keep a smile on my face. So any emoji that is a smile, a positive, thumbs up, anything along those ways, just to try to make your day better. That's how I see myself.
Do your kids ever criticize your emoji usage or any of your texting usage? This is just a side question I was thinking about.
They don't make fun of my texting. They make the fun of the way I type because they type with 2 thumbs 10 times faster than I type with one hand with one finger.
Okay.
I guess that's my age. I don't
You're
type
the hunt
like
and peck with a single finger on the phone.
I do. They laugh at me about that all the
But you
time.
can probably type better on a computer than that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, that is fair. Andy, before we get out of here, you do run a club here at Hubble with a couple other staff members, and I want you to get a moment to give it a quick plug. The Prism Club. Tell us about that.
Prism Club started a few years ago, and it's a club that is all-inclusive. Anybody can come down. You don't join the club. Miss Wydella and Dr. Verga and myself wanted to create a safe space where kids can come and play games, hang out, and be themselves. I mean, it's open to all grade levels. Anybody can come whenever they can, and we just welcome you in. We do trivia. We've done karaoke. We'll do card games. We just sit around and chat. It's an opportunity for kids just to come to some place and just chill out with others, and you can meet some new people and bring some friends too.
Awesome. All right. So if you have questions about that, see Mr. Balzer, Dr. Verga, or Miss Wydella. That is the end of our show. Thank you for listening to Husky Hotseat. I want to thank our guest, Andy Balzer, for his time and sharing a little bit about himself and his love of Madonna. If you see him around the Hubble community, say hello and maybe ask them a little something about what you heard today on the show, whether that be history, Halloween costumes, or favorite movies. If you liked what you heard on Husky Hotseat, remember to subscribe to the show. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and pretty much anywhere you like to listen to your podcast. If you really want to help the show grow, please leave a review on your podcast app of choice. And finally, most importantly, spread the news about the show to people you actually know in real life. The internet is great and all, but the goal of Husky Hotseat is to build connection within our Hubble community. So, the more staff, parents, and students that listen, the tighter we become. Remember, Huskies, none of us are lone wolves. We work best in a pack. See you next time.